Shalom Aleichem and welcome to the Ways of Israel. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero with the Ways of Israel. We're going to continue our study through the faith strengthened response to Christian missionaries. In particular, it's a great book. I recommend it for all of you Christians and also those of you who are in the anti-missionary field, and even those of you who are basically part of the Jews for Jesus group. I strongly recommend you taking hold of this book, going through it, and see some of the responses, biblical responses that Isaac TROKI provides you in response to your questions regarding specific passages of the Bible that may refer to the Messiah and how it's been changed throughout the year. I started this series to help many Israelis who have been influenced by the Jews for Jesus movement, and also a lot of Christian pastors, friends of mine, that have asked, what's your take on this? And we do have responses to all of these questions that you have. Some of them may not be very favorable, and looking at it within the context, it may be something that is not to your liking. But nevertheless, we need to address these issues. And in chapter 5, Isaac TROKI begins a series of responses to his Christian Greek friend that basically puts him to task as to that, in fact, God had rejected the children of Israel and took in its place the church. And we began to see some of his responses to that claim. Now he begins in chapter 5 to basically hit a little bit more harder on the topic, and begins the same personage argued with me another time, he says, and said, you ought to know, as long as you fulfilled the behest of God and his commandments, you were prosperous in this world, for the kings of Israel were great and mighty. And so our forefathers and many of our other Gentile nations were held under subjugation by you, O children of Israel, speaking to Isaac TROKI now. But now, since you have sinned against God, the case is reversed. In other words, we are now been replaced, according to the one Christian person that was arguing with Isaac TROKI. It says, and for the rule has departed from you and passed over to us, the Christian community. We are the new Israel. We are the new church. And over us, and has our subjection departed from us and passed over to you. For at the present you have no king or prince among you, and you have held under subjection by all the nations. And at the same time, our prosperity is a great proof of the goodness of our faith, as your former prosperity was a proof of the goodness of your faith. Hence, this is your degraded state and must be considered as a convincing illustration of evil doings in rejecting our creed. And to this, Isaac TROKI replies, your argument is fallacious. It's faulty. And in all of its bearing, for in this world there are many wicked men, whose lot is as prosperous as they were truly righteous men. While we frequently see pious laboring under severe affliction, an instance of this we find in success of Nebuchadnezzar, the wicked, and also Alexander the Great, who extended their rule over great parts of the world, and especially of the land of the Israelites. Nor had there ever been a king more prosperous in their government than they were. Yet they, with all of their success, cannot be brought forward as an argument in favor of the superiority of the faith of the Gentiles over that of the subjugated Israelites, it being well-known fact that they, the great kings, were worshippers of idols and planets. Now in our days, even you, referring to the Christians, agree that Islam or Islamism is nothing but a false system introduced by their pretended prophet, Muhammad. Nevertheless, they are prosperous in the world, and their religion and power spread over a large portion in Asia and Africa. And let me say, here in America as well. They have increased and have dominated in such a quick time, within 8 years, powers that were never even granted to them. Consequently, however, you can say that their prosperity is proof of the goodness of their deeds, seeing that the scripture says and shows the reverse. Interesting enough, Jeremiah, the prophet, in chapter 12, verse 1 says, for the Lord chastises him whom he loves. So let's take this argument here. The fact that that expression of chastisement, reprehension, reproof, is given primarily to the children of Israel. The argument, therefore, which you derive from your prosperity in favor of your religion is groundless and must appear to every man of good sense. In other words, we can show that because of our sin, because of our failings, because of our our extreme leftist liberalism, which exists in our Jewish community and completely disconnected from Torah value, that in fact everything that's coming down to us is an act of divine reprehension, divine chastisement upon the children of Israel, which is what I have been arguing from day one, from COVID's revelation. And unfortunately, a lot of rabbis don't like to hear that. God's divine discipline upon the children of Israel. For what? For not doing what God says. So this makes us even more dearer to God and his promise to us to redeem us from all of these afflictions, and may it be soon in our time. We're going to continue the series and look at chapter 6, where the Christian scholar begins to argue with Isaac TROKI that they have examined the words of the prophets, and supposedly that even a single allusion was made of prophecy revealed concerning the captivity in which we are in at the present time. Now keep in mind, we're going to look at this in our next video, which I don't want you to miss it. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at thewaysofisrael.com or at youtube.com/Mr. Caminos de Israel. So don't miss this series. It is something that will nourish you, both Christian and Jew, in your faith to be strengthened on Bible truth. Shalom, shalom. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero. And remember, the Ways of Israel is growing. And if you want to be a part of it, just send me an email to rabbiotero@yahoo.com. Shalom, shalom.